And the way how do you change perception, not just behavior? And your point is very well taken. It's much easier to change behavior than it is to change perception of others. Changing the perception of others is hard.
Hi, I'm Karin Hurt.
And I'm David Dye.
And we are absolutely delighted to bring you a very special combined show of Asking for a Friend
and Leadership Without Losing Your Soul.
And we're doing this special edition today because we have an amazing guest. Marshall Goldsmith is here with us today. Welcome, Marshall. We are so delighted to have you here.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm very happy to be here. You guys do great work.
Oh, thank you. You were such an integral part of our first launch of our first book. You wrote the foreword to our book, Winning Well, and we're here. You've written so many best-selling books, and we have read every one.
And super excited about your latest book. This one is fantastic, and we can't wait to get into it and share it with our audiences here.
So why don't, Marshall, why don't you just tell us a little bit about your book and what inspired you to write it?
Well, my new book is called The Earned Life, and it's basically built on pretty much everything I've learned in life so far about making peace with what is, about trying to be the person you can become. And it's built on a lot of studies over the years. And you know, the goal of the book is really, it's built on a lot of Eastern philosophy, and it's applied to a modern Western context. So I love the book. I think it's great fun, and I think hopefully it'll help people have a better life.
Nice. So we loved your definition of an earned life. We are living an earned life when the choices, risks, and effort we make in each moment align with an overarching purpose in our lives, regardless of the eventual outcome. So can you elaborate a little bit more about what you mean by this definition of an earned life?
Well, you know, I talk about in the book 3 key elements to having a great life. One is our higher level aspiration or purpose. The second would be our ambition, which is goal achievement. And then the third would be our day-to-day actions, our immediate activities now. And the key to having a great life is the alignment of these 3. Now, if you look at the history of the human species, most people have been lost in the action phase. I mean, just live day-to-day lives. They show up. They didn't have a lot of choice. They did what they were supposed to do. They went where they were supposed to go. And most of our lives were just focused on this short-term gratification. Some people are more focused on just the aspiration phase. They kind of live in their heads. They've got very dreamy ideas. They may not achieve a lot, but they've got a lot of great thoughts. The clients that I've worked with over the years, and I think most of the readers of my books, they're focused on the achievement phase. And they're just, if not careful, become almost addicted to achievement and goals. And the reason I said those results are not the key is really we should never become ego attached to the results of what we do. It's a fool's game for a couple of reasons. One is you don't control the results. You do not control the results. You don't have 100% control over what's going to happen on any activity. But 2, even more important, what happens after you achieve it? Well, how long does that make you happy? 10 minutes, 15 minutes? And what happens is really important to separate achievement from peace, from happiness, from other elements of life. The great Western disease is I'll be happy when I get the money status BMW, when I get the condominium, everything's going to be okay when. Well, you know, we all have the same when. And basically, that's a myth. That's a myth. One of my clients who endorsed the book is Albert Berla. Albert's the CEO of Pfizer. So I said, Albert, how was your year last year? Oh, pretty good. You know, came up with a vaccine for COVID. Not too bad. And, you know, a new pill and stocks an all-time high, and wrote a book and CEO of the year, you know, on and on and on. I said, Albert, what's your problem? He said, I have a huge problem. Next year. Next year. And you think the people who bought that stock at this price care what he did last year?
Right.
They could care less. It's restart now. Well, I think very important to realize that we're constantly restarting our lives and re-earning our lives. And it's not, I'll be happy when we get to some place and everything is okay and we coast on forever. There's one type of book that has the same ending, and they lived happily ever after. That's called a fairy tale.
Yeah.
In Earned, you talk about the one breath, the every breath principle and that resonated with me about that. It's a moment by moment process of being who we are, and that whoever we were, that the last, all those previous 10,000 breaths are what they are, but it's this breath right now that determines who we are.
And who are we now? We're not who we used to be. We're constantly changing as we go through life. The me at the end of our conversation is not the same me that was at the beginning of our conversation.
Right.
So as we go through life, every time I take a breath, it's a new me. And everything that happened before is done by an infinite set of people called the previous versions of me. And I think this is useful in a lot of ways. One, it helps people forgive themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Forgive themselves. We all made mistakes, right? The previous versions of you made some mistakes. So what? Let go.
All right. So this is a question that Karin and I have been discussing, and we've been dying to ask you as we read the book and talked about this principle, because you're in the business of change. We're in the business of change. We're helping people to make changes in their leadership, in their life.
Right.
Maybe how they're better interpersonal and how they're treating other people to be more effective. Maybe they've been too lax and I need to practice more accountability and
Right.
results focus, whatever it might be. Those previous versions of ourselves have left ripples. They've left impact on other people.
Right.
And as we make those changes, which, yes, we want to do that, as we make those changes, we now maybe have forgiven ourselves, recognized and embraced, this is my current version. But everyone around us is still operating on those previous 10,000 breath versions.
Right.
How do people navigate? How do you recommend leaders and people navigate that change? And what's fair to expect in terms of having everybody else catch up?
Well, in my coaching for years, I did stakeholder-centered coaching. I didn't get paid if my clients didn't get better, and better was not judged by me or them, it's judged by everyone around them. So your question is a critically important question. How do you change behavior? And the way how do you change perception, not just behavior? And your point is very well taken. It's much easier to change behavior than it is to change perception of others. Changing the perception of others is hard. One of the best research principles in psychology is called cognitive dissonance theory. We all see people in a manner that's consistent with our previous stereotype, and we look for behavior to reinforce that stereotypical belief. Well, how do you get people to change perceptions? The key there is follow-up. I'll give you two examples. Let's say my problem is I make too many destructive comments about other people. I picked that because it sounds so simple. All I have to do to change my behavior is quit doing it. I go 7 months and never make a destructive comment about anyone. 7 months later, I go, stupid idiots in finance, idiot being counters. And then all of a sudden, you're my colleague. Your first reaction is he never changed.
Yeah.
Case study 2, though, if I say, I got feedback. I want to be a better team player, not make destructive comments, give me ideas. You don't believe I'm going to change, but you're thinking, well, there's a little hope there. What happens, though, in 2 months when I come back and say, it's been 2 months. I said I want to be a great team player, not make bad comments, give me suggestions for the future. Now you start thinking, good job. 4 months, good job. 6 months, good job. Now I'm still human. I'm going to make a mistake. 7 months, idiots in finance. Only now you have a context. You say, you shouldn't have said that. You went 7 months without doing that. You say, you're right, I'm going to apologize. Situation A, as you really well put it, situation A, did behavior change? Yes. Did perception change? No. Situation B, did behavior change? Yes. Did perception change? Yes. And in leadership, it doesn't matter what we think we said.
Right.
All that matters is what they heard.